Welcome, everybody, to WFHR's 2025 Spring Candidate Spotlight. We are taking the time to ask a lot of our local candidates the same questions with the same amount of time and get you a little more informed about our great candidates coming up. Do want to encourage everybody to bookmark and go to myvote.wi.gov, myvote.wi.gov. Make sure that you are registered and you're ready for the upcoming election. We have with us right now Kathy McGrath. Kathy is running for Port Edwards School Board. Kathy, thank you very much for being here. If you can pull that mic right next to you there. Thank you, Kathy. Good. Thanks for being here. Appreciate the time. Kathy, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. I'm seeking re-election to the Port Edwards School Board. This would be my third term. My husband and I have lived in Port Edwards for more than 50 years. We moved there not knowing even where Port Edwards was originally to begin our teaching careers, and we both spent our entire career teaching in Port Edwards. So I taught 34 years, teaching third grade, first grade, and mostly kindergarten, where I taught for 31 years. After that, I did substitute teaching, and when I first was elected to the school board in 2019, I had to give up my subbing. So then I began just volunteering in the district. And I volunteer in first grade as a reading mentor through the United Way. I've done that for 9 years. And I also started a preschool story time at the Ed Hoyer Elementary School, which I do on a weekly basis.
Kathy, why did you originally and continue to run for a school board?
Well, it was never my plan, but I was approached by a fellow board member back in 2019 when I first ran, and they said they needed someone to run, and they thought I'd be good at it. And I said, me? And so I ran, and I was elected, and just found that it was a good experience for me because I was now on the other side of the fence after teaching there for 34 years, and I knew a lot about the district already. So It's been good.
Kathy, what qualifies you? What in your background leads you to believe that you would be continue to be an effective school board member?
Well, I've always loved children, and of course, teaching was my passion. And I just want to make sure that our school district is the best that it can be, that we offer the best to all of our students, and that we make it a good place for all of our staff to work.
You mentioned some of your previous experience. How do you believe that your previous jobs have prepared you for this?
Well, throughout college, I did volunteering. I worked at a YMCA one summer as a summertime job, teaching, of all things, gymnastics, which I'm not a gymnast at all, but I could do it with preschoolers. And I just have had a lot of experience. My mother was a teacher. I have a sister that's a teacher. Both of our daughters ended up being teachers, and so I have a lot of education in my growing up years and my background.
What do you see as the board's roles and responsibilities?
Again, I think it's making the school district the best that it can be. We have dealt with a lot of issues in Port Edwards. We've done 2 school referendum and passed some really important ones. Both of them passed when we had them on the ballot, and that has allowed our district to make needed updates to our buildings. Our buildings are in beautiful shape. The elementary school was built just like 2 years before I started teaching there, and so it's been there for over 50 years. And the high school is very old but very beautiful, and we have really kept it up to date with needed updates and keeping it in good shape.
Kathy, we're speaking with Kathy McGrath, running for Port Edwards School Board as part of WFHR's 2025 Spring Candidate Spotlight. Kathy, how would you describe an effective board member?
Well, I think a board member needs to have a finger on the pulse and, needs to know the people that live in the district, and it's not just the village, it's the outlying areas that we also have, and also be in touch with things that are going on. So as a retired person, I'm not in the school building every day, but the two things that I do there, volunteering, my preschool story time, and my volunteering in first grade, give me a very good reason to be in the school. At the elementary school, at least twice a week, I try to go to things at the high school, band concerts, choir concerts, plays, lots of other things that keep me involved.
Kathy, what are your passions? What would you like to focus on if reelected?
Again, I think it's just making the Port Edwards School District the very best that it can be. That's a tough job because there's a lot of competition in schools. There's competition to get the best staff that we can get, but we can't offer everything because we are not huge. But I think the things that we do offer are really well done, and it seems like the staff we get are ones that stay with us.
Just a couple quick questions for you to wrap up, Kathy. With all of that being said, what do you feel are some of the biggest, if not the biggest, challenges facing the school board?
Again, it's hiring staff and keeping them. Mm-hmm. Many of our staff have been there for many years, and it seems like we have a lot of our staff that are actually graduates of John Edwards High School, and they want to come back and be with us. In fact, many of them are my kindergartners from years ago, and I just love seeing that when I go in and see a kindergarten student that I had now teaching. In fact, two of them are actually teaching in the kindergarten room right now.
That's great. Kathy, thank you so much for the time. Any final statements?
No, I'm community active. I'm a member of the Port Edwards Methodist Church. I belong to League of Women Voters. I am a docent at the Alexander House in Port Edwards. I'm in Delta Kappa Gamma and a member of the Wisconsin Rapids Area Retired Educators Association. So I do a lot of volunteering and try to keep active in the community.
And we appreciate that. And we appreciate you, Kathy. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to hang out with us and answer some questions, and certainly running for the board. We appreciate that and the work you've done. Thank you for the time. And people have follow-up questions, or they'd like to get to know you a little bit more, or just reach out to you. How can they do that?
Sure. They can call me. My phone number is 715-887-3448. Most people know where I live, so they can contact me anyway.
Appreciate that and appreciate you. Thank you again, Kathy. And again, want to encourage you all to go to myvote.wi.gov, myvote.wi.gov. Make sure that you are registered and you're all set and ready to go for the upcoming election. We'll have more Spotlight candidate interviews coming up for you right here at 97.5 FM, 1320 AM, WFHR. Welcome, everybody, to WFHR's 2025 Spring Candidate Spotlight. This is where we are taking our time to interview each of our local candidates and give them the same questions, same amount of time to each candidate, and there will be no follow-up questions, so that there will be the same questions for each candidate. And just a chance for you guys to get to know them a little bit better, and for us to say thank you to them for running. We appreciate so many of our locals running for local offices. And in with us today, we've got another familiar candidate here, who we have Jaime Sparkes with us, running for Wisconsin Rapids School Board. Jaime, thanks for being here.
Yeah, good morning. Nice being here.
Appreciate you, Jaime, and wanted to get to this right away. And our opening question is one that you have kind of answered before on our shows, but tell us a little about yourself.
Yeah, so I'm a 2013 graduate of Lincoln High School, born and raised here in Wisconsin Rapids. 2015 graduate of Mississippi Technical College. So a lot of stuff, a lot of busy life in the Sparkes household. In my so-called free time, I coach high school football and high school basketball over there at Lincoln, and I got a beautiful wife of going on 6 years now and 3 young children. So just wanting to get back to the community, and school board has always been a topic for me to get into, something that I've always wanted to get into. And, this year I was looking at, kind of, do I run this year? Do I not run this year? And this year it seemed to be the year for me. So I feel very confident.
When it comes to that, why did you decide to run this year in particular?
Well, I think it's just, the timing. I got kids now in the school district. My oldest has just started 4K, and, there's issues that every school district needs to address, and there's, some things that kind of hit a little more home with me, some issues that I would like to see, kind of addressed and moving forward. But I think overall WRPS does a great job. But yeah, I think this is the year that I decided to run.
Jamie, what do you feel qualifies you? What in your background leads you to believe that you'd be an effective school board member?
Yeah. So for me, and I guess anybody anybody that knows me or knows my family knows that we never say no. My mom and dad taught me at a young age, you never say no to anybody. So for me, it's just helping out and getting voices heard from people. And for me, I sat on multiple boards before. I actually sat on some county boards. Most recently, going on 6 years now, 7 years now, but Farm Technology Days, I sat on when it was up in Marshfield, sat on the board there because I have an agricultural background, what I went to school for. And then most recently, I sit on the board for the Wisconsin Rapids Redhawks. So a lot of that has taught me budget, time management, stuff like that, and kind of making those tough decisions when those decisions need to be made.
You touched on this a little bit right there, but how do you feel your previous job experience, previous board experience has prepared you for doing this job?
Yeah, so I think it kind of goes down to budgets, tough answers to call, parent communication, kind of all that ties into being the board that everyone kind of seems to focus on, that seems to need answers from. So for me, I'm no stranger to being on a board and serving the community.
And what do you see as the board's roles and responsibilities?
Yeah, so for me, and this is kind of one of the big things I'm running for, is just open and honest communication. The Wisconsin Rapids School District has to get better at that a little bit, and I think you just even scrolling on social media or just talking to people. I've had great communications with people, but what we need to get to is just open and honest communication, and I believe that will solve some of the problems that we have on the behaviorals in schools, behavioral and that. As long as everyone's on the same page, I truly believe that is the root. We have to find the root cause to the problem of all like the bullying and all that kind of stuff going on in schools. And if parents, board members, and teachers and administrative all on the same page when it comes to that stuff, I think we could do great things for Wisconsin Rapids.
How would you describe an effective board member, an effective school board member?
Yeah, I think it just open and just wanting to kind of I don't want to beat a dead horse here, but just open, honest communication. I know there's some policies in place right now where you kind of have to go through the channels. So if anybody had an issue with the school district, I would have to show them the different channels to go through. But for me, I want to help people. I'm a helping kind of person. I have a big heart, so for me, I want to see it change where people have concerns, we can bring it up to me and we can address it as a board meeting with the superintendent, with anybody who we need to address it with. Some of these policies, and that policy has been in place since 1978. So I think we're about due to see some policy changes, and I know the board is going through right now policy changes as well right now.
And Jamie, how would you how do you plan to involve residents in the decision-making process in town and keep them involved in that?
Yeah, so I think it goes down to just parent engagement too. I'm a firm believer that parents have opportunities to speak at school board meetings, and to get as many people out to those as possible. I know it's a very important thing, and I think most residents do a great job at that. But I also think too that holding even a town hall meeting or listening session where I listen, you come, you listen, I listen to you, and we can help solve some of the problems that go on in the district. But I also want to say too, and I know we're talking about a lot of the problems, but Wisconsin Rapids School District does do a lot of great things too as well. So I don't want to say that they're not doing anything. There's a lot of great things happening in the Wisconsin Rapids School District right now.
We're speaking with Jaime Sparkes, running for Wisconsin Rapids School Board. And Jamie, to touch on the other side of it, what do you feel are some of the biggest issues going on right now with our school that our school board can affect?
Yeah, some of the big issues, obviously bullying in school is one thing. I would also say just talking to parents too is communication between administrative staff and school board, administrative staff and parents. There's a huge disconnect right now between that. And I know I've touched it kind of in my other answers here too, but I think that's just the biggest root cause for a lot of things going on. And if we can change that, I truly firmly believe we can change a lot of the issues in Rapids. But I would say, first the bullying, parent communication, and just definitely just looking at, how can we support teachers and get higher test scores too. I just actually pulled some stuff off of DPI the other day, and our test scores have, in the last 5 years, have drastically gone down. And that information you can find at the DPI website. And so how can we help teachers be successful in the classroom? How can we help our students? First and foremost, how can we help our students? And I firmly believe that we have the tools to do that.
If elected, how would you plan to do that?
Yeah, so for me, it's going back to the root cause of something, like getting the teachers involved, because they're the ones teaching these kids a lot of the material. So for me, it would be going into the schools and talking to these teachers and how, as a school board member, how can I help you be successful? And there's a lot of teachers that are willing to speak up. I've actually spoken to a lot of teachers in the district, and some of them are a little bit more afraid to speak up than others, but a lot of them have really good ideas, and they're great people. These teachers are, that's a job that it's a thankless job sometimes, and I got a lot of friends that are teachers, and just getting their side of things and their perspective, and how can I help you teach these kids better and give them the resources that they truly need.
Jamie, really appreciate the time and you being able to make time out of your schedule to hang out with us today and answer these questions. As we're wrapping up, do you have any final statements?
Yeah, I would just like to say, Rapids has always been home for me. I truly would be honored and blessed to serve the community of Wisconsin Rapids on the school board. And it's not, some of the things are not going to be an overnight fix, but, we would definitely trend in the right direction. I would fight for everybody in the school district, parents, kids, teachers. Everybody has a voice, and it just needs to be heard.
Jamie, if people had follow-up questions or would like to reach out to you in any way, is there a way to do that?
Yeah, so I have a Facebook page. It's Jaime Sparkes for school board, and my last name is spelled Sparkes. For some people who it always gets people, the ES at the end of my name. So and that's on Facebook too, and I run the page myself, so I will quickly respond to you as much as possible. So yeah.
We appreciate the time, Jamie, not only putting up with my questions, but it's certainly the time that you've put into local boards, into our local community. We're certainly here to encourage more and more individuals to do that. So thank you for the time, and thank you for what you're doing.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
And we want to encourage you to be ready to vote by going to myvote.wi.gov. Make sure that you are registered and set and all ready to go when the election comes around. And we'll have more of these interviews for you right here at WFHR. Welcome, everybody, to WFHR's 2025 Spring Candidate Spotlight. This is where we're taking an opportunity to get to know our candidates a little bit better, as well as informing you about the positions they're running for. I want to encourage everybody to go to myvote.wi.gov. Make sure you are registered and all ready to go to help democracy ring. In with us right now, Wisconsin Rapids School Board candidate Craig Manka. Craig, good to see you again.
Thank you.
Appreciate the time, as always. Craig, tell us a little about yourself.
Well, I've lived here in Rapids probably about 10 years now. I've got 2 kids in the district. I've got a 6-year-old at Washington and a 12-year-old over at Rams right now. I'm a regional property manager. I've got properties all throughout central Wisconsin, so I've had to deal with things for quite a bit with people. Also, I'm a licensed foster parent, so pretty familiar with ins and outs of children and what goes on with mental health issues. So,
Craig, why did you decide to run?
I see a lot of the board meetings where you've got people that come in, parents, and they've got issues and concerns, and it seems to be a repeating thing constantly. Whether it's behaviors at schools, things like that. I want to be more than just a voice and just moving my lips and saying stuff. I want to actually be active in it. I was on policy council for Head Start for quite a few years until my term limits have run out, so I'm no longer there. I want to get involved. I want to see if I can be part of the process and see if I can help make some changes to make things better for children. And just some of the things that I see where there's some things that could be maybe improved on. I see too many times where a lot of the teachers and that, they don't have the resources that they need. They really don't. When you've got teachers that are reaching out to parents that they need supplies, they need, like a whiteboard, pencils, paper, things like that, there's got to be something we can figure out to help them out. I mean, it's too often that I see that teachers are reaching into their own pocket to pay for things, and we shouldn't do that. We need to make sure that we have resources available to help these children, get their education and have the tools they need to be successful. And right now, I think there's just a need that we have to get something changed. And I want to get involved, dig into it, and see what we can do.
What do you feel qualifies you to be an effective school board member?
I've been involved with boards pretty much my entire career, so I'm not afraid to speak in public. I'm vocal. I am outspoken with certain things to make sure that things are getting done properly. I've been in professional property management for probably 27 years now. I did high-end condos in Milwaukee. I had a board meeting once a month for every association, which means that I had a board meeting 3.5 weeks out of every month. So I've run boards. I was a board member at LCPOA. I helped change things over there and redraft the governing documents out there. Policy Council obviously involved with that. And with the properties that I manage, I've basically go through and have to approve millions of dollars of budgets a year. So I know how to dig into financials. There's things that I want to look at too are, where is the money being allocated? Is there something it's not something I'd say in particular that we would need to remove, but where can we add to? There's certain things that I see with children where, there's a lot of special needs children in the area, and there's a lot of times that they're not getting, the resources that they need. Rooms are too small. There's overcrowding in the classrooms. And it's hard for the teachers to navigate that. We've got some wonderful teachers, but if they're not getting the help and resources they need, it makes it very difficult for them.
That being said, what do you see the board's roles and responsibilities?
First and foremost to the kids. And that kids have to come first. I've always said that. They need to make sure that, we're doing what we can to make sure they're getting a proper education. You hear a lot of things where there's bullying going on that you hear about. A lot of parents are concerned about that. People have told me that they pull their children out of the school systems. We've got to figure out how to address this better. And that everyone deserves to have a fair education in school. And, it's just, I don't know if it's an education thing where we need to have some sort of instructional class or something for the teachers to understand mental health a little bit better and what those needs are and how it gets met. But we have to look in something like that. Something has to change.
How do you plan to involve residents in the decision-making process with the board?
It's really simple. When you have these board meetings, we have to listen to what the parents are saying. And I see a lot of times where watch some of the board meetings and then also some of the feedback I get from parents where they don't feel they're being heard. They get up, have their couple minutes to talk, but we got to make sure that there's follow-up. There's a lot of good ideas. Board meetings that I've run in the past, you get a lot of your best ideas listening to parents, and just you have to take things, into consideration from their side and what really has to happen, on the fiscal side and everything with the schools. And you got to come up with some sort of a happy medium. And you can get a lot of information from parents. There's a lot of good ideas out there. Yeah, but they have to be heard and they have to be listened to, and extrapolate what you can and form a good decision and move forward.
We're speaking with Wisconsin Rapids School Board candidate Craig Manka right now. And Craig, when it comes to communicating the important town information to residents and the transparency between the board and students and parents and everything, how do you plan to approach that?
You got to be careful with some of it. There's certain things that there's privacy laws that are involved that you cannot discuss. And I know that's been a concern with some parents that they don't hear what's happened or what the resolution was on some things, and you can't because they're minors. And I understand that, but we have to come up with a way to communicate better so parents feel like they're being informed. And right now, the feedback I get is they don't feel informed. So we have to figure out a way to communicate better, whether that's a parent listening session, something where there's more of an open dialogue, like a town hall type style, and just to hear what they have to say. Not saying we're going to be able to solve every problem that comes our way, but we need to listen, and you can learn a lot from parents.
You've touched on this a little bit. For you, what do you feel are some of the biggest, if not the biggest, challenges facing our public school system?
Right now, funding. Obviously, everything's a little bit up in the air with what just happened yesterday, and that. So we'll have to see how that plays out. But really, it's just making sure the resources are available. Right now, I see that that's pretty lacking, just from my own experience. And it's not that any fault of the teachers at all. It's just there's not enough staffing, whether it be aides to help out. Classroom sizes seem to be getting bigger all the time. And they just need help. I mean, these teachers are doing their best and trying their hardest to get things done and make sure kids are taken care of properly. But, if you're one person against a class of, 30 adolescents, it can be a little daunting. And having, like a resource room that's available and that to have the children, if they have a problem, something's going on, to take them to the side. What I see now is some of the resource rooms that might be available can get a little overcrowded. If you've got a child that has a mental health issue and they need to take a break, well, if you're putting this child, removing them from the classroom, taking them into this resource room, and there's 10, 12, 15 other children that are having the same problem at the time, you've basically got nothing short of controlled chaos. Sometimes these kids just need to have some quiet and have a break, and that's something I think we need to work on. Do I have a great solution for that? No, it's something that we really got to talk about and try to work out together on the board and with parents on what they feel their needs are.
Craig, really do appreciate the time today. Thank you so much for answering these questions of mine and our audiences. Do you have any final statements?
No, just I think I'm going to be a good fit for the board. Like I said, this is what I do. I run many boards in the past. I am a huge advocate for kids. So many classes and different things that I've taken, being a foster parent and having to do continuing education. I'm not an expert by any means, but I am quite involved, and I do what I can to research and figure out what we need to do to get things accomplished. So I'm not someone that's going to sit by and just show up at a board meeting. I do get active. So,
Craig, if people would like to follow up with you about some of this stuff, if they'd like to reach out to you, is there a way to do that?
Yes, you can go right to my Facebook page. It's WRPS Craig Manka. Do keep in mind there are two of them that are out there because someone hijacked one of mine, and I haven't been able to get Facebook to release it, so I had to form a new one. So it's WRPS Craig Manka, but all caps WRPS.
Nice. And thank you again, Craig, not only for putting up with my silly questions and everything, but for taking time out of your day-to-day life and our busy schedule to be a part of the school board, to run for candidacy. We need more people to do this and appreciate it.
All right, thank you.
And want to encourage you again to everybody go to myvote.wi.gov. Make sure that you are registered and ready to go for the April 1st election coming up, and be and be listening for more candidate interviews coming up right here at WFHR. Welcome everybody to WFHR's 2025 Spring Candidate Spotlight. This is where we here at WFHR are continuing an 80-plus year tradition of interviewing our local candidates, giving them equal time, giving them the same questions, and of course, letting you get to know them a little bit better. We encourage you to go to myvote.wi.gov. Make sure that you are registered and all signed up and ready to go for Election Day. Joining us right now, Wisconsin Rapids School Board candidate Troy Bier. Troy, thanks a lot for being here.
Thank you, James, for having me. Pleasure to be here.
Troy, do us a favor. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Absolutely. So I am running as an incumbent. I have been on the Wisconsin Rapids School Board for 2 terms. A little bit about myself. I live in the town of Grand Rapids with my wife and daughter. My daughter attends 4K at Pitch in town here, and she absolutely loves it. She looks forward to going to school every day and comes home with stories about her classmates and experiences and things that she's done. So she loves her time at Pitch, and she loves her time within the district. Also, to address that question, I'm running for re-election. We've accomplished a lot of good in the last 6 years, but I do believe that there's more that we can do, more than the important work that does continue. I'm running for re-election because I care deeply about our students, and I often joke that I'm doing things backwards. I got elected to the school board, and then I had kids. But it's important work, and I enjoy serving in that capacity. The main thing that I would like to see in an upcoming term here, if successful on April 1st, is for all stakeholders to have collaboration. I think that's really how we make our most important decisions, when we have that conversation with parents and teachers and students and admin and leaders. I think that's really how we drive and have the strongest school district possible. And as I've done since day one, I will advocate and support policies that put our students first and strive as a board member to be that bridge toward their continued success.
Okay. Troy, you kind of answered some of my upcoming questions, so I don't want to be repetitive, but just to let you and the audience know. So my next question was, why did you decide to run for school board? Do you feel you already answered that?
I do, yep. And just to piggyback off of that a little bit, like James had mentioned, being the incumbent, I've been on the board for 2 terms now, and I think we have a completely great district here. We have teachers that really care about students. We have students that have a drive to learn and that have a great education here. And I think it's all about having those conversations and that collaboration to make our district that much stronger.
What do you feel qualifies you? What in your background makes you believe that you can continue to be an effective school board member?
What I believe makes me an effective school board member is I do approach this role from a nonpartisan standpoint. I believe in progress and not politics, and since day one I have fought for results and not rhetoric, and I believe that that's what makes me an important school board member. We're doing it for the kiddos. It's all about the kiddos. It's not about advancing a political agenda. And I am proud and honored in all of my races to not be endorsed by any major political party. We've won twice that way. It's all about the kids, and I hope to continue that next week.
What do you see as the board's roles and responsibilities?
The school board has many roles and responsibilities, but first and foremost, student achievement and student safety I would view as the top 2 roles of the school district. It is so important that we focus on the well-being of our students while they're here during the day, as well as our staff, and address their concerns. And I'm sure that a future question will let me dive into that a little bit more.
And how do you plan to involve residents in the decision-making process in our town? I think I just said yeah.
Yeah, perfect. Well, communication is key to make overall decisions and addressing progress and growth. So I think this gives us a great opportunity to look at ways to grow our partnerships with local organizations, as well as students, parents, teachers, and staff, to take a look and have that collaboration to look at advances and prepare our students for future growth.
And once collecting that kind of information and from town, how would you effectively communicate important town information to residents, ensuring transparency and accessibility?
Fortunately, what we have at our school board meetings, and I'll give a plug here, an opportunity, we have our committee meetings the first Monday night of every month at 6 p.m. at 510 Peach Street. Our regular Board of Education meetings are the second Monday night at 6 p.m. at 510 Peach Street. And I would invite anybody to come forward at either committee meetings or the general board meetings. We are there to listen to you. We're elected to represent you. And a lot of times, we don't have that feedback and that public comment. And while that's equally important to voice and get those concerns out on social media, I would just urge anybody that has interest to come forward to a board meeting. 6 p.m. the first Monday night, and second Monday night is that opportunity to address the full board and the administrative team.
Troy, just a couple more questions, and I appreciate the time. What do you feel are some of the biggest, if not the biggest, challenges facing the school board and facing our education system here in central Wisconsin?
I think what we have spent a lot of time on as of late is looking at ways, and this problem isn't specific just to Wisconsin Rapids, but at a statewide level as well, looking at ways to address behavior and attendance matters. I think that's completely important and very timely that we address that more. I think that all channels through having increased parent and community involvement. It is essential that we hire support staff to address learning needs. And another thing, we need to look at class sizes to make targeted instruction more effective. Other things in terms of addressing the attendance piece, we as a board need to continue to look at ways to reduce barriers in transportation that might prevent kiddos from getting to school. And also, in the modern era, it is crucial that we invest in technological advances and therapy services. Looking at all of these are really ways that we can move the needle on behavior and attendance.
Troy, once again, really do appreciate not only you taking the time to join us today out of your schedule, but also taking the time to be a part of a board and to be a part of our community in this way. We greatly appreciate that. Do you have any final statements?
I would just urge everybody. I know fortunately here in Wisconsin Rapids, we have opportunities like this very here radio show. James is doing a great job, and the newspapers and other outlets have reached out for questions. Fortunately, with us having those resources, I would urge everybody to make an informed decision, not only in our race, but in every race across the ballot. There is a lot on the ballot on Tuesday, April 1st. I would be completely honored to have your support. I do have a Facebook page. You have an opportunity to ask me any questions. I'm going to be hosting 2 Talk with Troy events later this week at some local coffee shops, so I will post that out on social media as well for the opportunity.
And once again, you're too good at this. You took my final question: how can people get a hold of you? They already got that. They got that. Thank you again, Troy. Appreciate the time.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
And I want to say a big thank you to all of our candidates that have joined us throughout this series. We really do appreciate them and look forward to doing this again during the next election cycle. A special thank you to Pam Hilke and the amazing scheduling she does week in and week out in the heart of this station. We appreciate her. And we appreciate all of you joining us. Be sure to go to myvote.wi.gov. Make sure you're registered and all ready to go for the election coming up on April 1st. We'll have more coming up, more coverage coming up for you right here at 97.5 FM, 1320 AM, WFHR, locally grown radio.